good afternoon, and welcome for my first time guest to the Vine and Branch YouTube channel. My name is Derek Williams, and I want to continue our dialogue. I've been talking about lessons from the past, and particularly, I want to focus on today's discussion on focus, right? The importance of focus in your life. And so, without further ado, if you hear something today that you like, something that you feel resonate with you, something that you feel that you could take away with you, please like, subscribe, and share. I'm going to be, putting up relevant content almost on a weekly basis just to encourage you in any way that I can. And so with that being said, let's jump right in. So the first thing I want to talk about today is what you focus on shapes your future, right? What you focus on shapes your future. That's particularly important because I can remember when I first started out in my career at my current company about 5 years ago. I was at a phase or a point in my life where I was really just looking for a job, right? I was looking for a job, something to pay the bills. Now, fast forward, I think I had three children, and I was just looking for something to make ends meet. I was just leaving school, and I was looking for a job. So, with this in particular, I didn't necessarily think that or see this as a career opportunity for me. It was more so like, you know, we need something to keep the lights on. However, what I found throughout my time there is that my inability to focus, right? Focus on where I was going, what's important. What it did is it kind of left me feeling like I was a hamster on a hamster wheel. I didn't have any real sense of purpose. It was just like getting up, going to work, getting excited about the weekend, right? But what began to happen, I began to get connected with some friends, still friends today, that will ultimately kind of help shape my belief process, not only about myself, but about how I focus and how I show up every single day. And man, I tell you, just in a short amount of time, just in 5 years, the amount of growth I've been able to experience. I mean, I went from being an entry level position all the way up into a manager with UPS, the company I work for. And I say that because early on, if you was to ask me, hey man, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I can tell you I wouldn't say or thought that I would have seen myself where I am today. And so I share that story because, again, what you focus on shapes your future, right? You can choose to focus on just getting by, how we would say being mediocre, right? Or you can choose to say, nah, I'm going to show up for myself. I want better. I expect better for myself. My family expect better. And so when your mind really shift in that standpoint, things around you start to change. We kind of started this thing amongst a couple friends called Upskill and Elevate, right? It was designed for us to challenge each other and encourage each other to upskill in every area of your life. What does that look like? If you need to take some training, if you need to get some feedback from a mentor, whatever that look like, you need to do just that. And it's important because if you don't, what you're really saying is, I don't really want any accountability. I want to talk about some things that I want, but I really don't want anybody to hold me to the fire to make sure I'm moving forward. And so we develop this thing within the company, Upskill and Elevate, so that we can challenge ourselves every single day that we get up. We're gonna be better. We're gonna do things different. If we need to train, if we need to do whatever that looks like, we did just that. I did just that, and I think that was a huge part of focus because it began to shape my my path throughout the company, it began to open doors that I didn't think I would have. It would give me opportunities within the company that I was like, wow, first time doing this, first time, you know, first time interviewing a customer from a different country in front of the entire organization that you work for, emceeing and hosting a conference, and then eventually becoming a keynote speaker, right? All of these things within a short amount of time. But I think what happened was my focus shifted, right? And as my focus shifted, my habits began to change. Things that I would typically do, I wasn't doing anymore. I changed up some of the conversations that I was having, some of the conversations that I was sitting amongst. I mean, if you find yourself in a circle where everybody is cynical, you're gonna be cynical. If you find yourself in a circle where people are moving up and upward, like it's just naturally, it's gonna happen for you, right? Because you become a product of your environment, of the people you choose to hang around. And so let me give you a biblical illustration of this very thing. So in Matthew 6:22 through 23, it says, the eye is the lamp of the body, right? If your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. So, if the light within you is darkness, how deep is that darkness? Okay, that's critically important because what it does is it highlights our focus determines our direction. If our focus is on darkness, if our focus is on things that we shouldn't be spending our time doing or entertaining as a whole, then that's what's going to come out, right? But if our focus is on light, right? Being that reflection of Christ, being that example that we should be day in and day out, then that's going to be our outpour. That's the direction we're going to put out, right? And so I think it's critically important that we understand that your focus shapes your future. It really does. And whatever that focus is, whether it's negative, your future is going to be shaped by just that. So if you're that person, been on the job forever and hate what you're doing, but you're not doing anything about it, maybe you need to take a step back and look at your focus. Maybe you need to take a look back and say to yourself, not everybody around you, not that nagging, annoying boss, not anybody else. Maybe you just need to take a moment and stop and say, you know what? Am I really focusing? Am I focusing on what I want next? Or am I frustrated? Am I cynical? Do I find myself always being frustrated about everything around me, everything everybody else doing? I mean, it becomes even a point where you're not even excited for people that elevate, that promote. You're just negative about every single thing. But on the flip side of that, when you become when your focus shifts to positive things, when your focus shifts to where you want to go, the goals that you're setting, the action behind the goals that you're setting, everything around you change. And I am confident, I'm a living witness that your life begins to change. Okay? So let's focus and allow our focus in a positive way to map out where we're going. The second thing I want to talk to you about is the distractions that pulls us away, right? The distractions that pulls us away. I remember when I many years ago, as a young man just coming into the workforce, right? I was at AT&T, and I remember being at AT&T, and I was really successful. I was successful in my ability to sell, and things were on the up and up, right, for me. And I thought I was going places. I thought that, I was in line for that next promotion, right? But what ultimately ended up happening, being a part of like leadership groups, being a part of different things, what I found is that when I would go back to my day-to-day work, right, I was cynical and I was frustrated because I had been with the company for 3 years, and I felt like my time was due. I felt like I should have moved up already. I felt like I should have already made it to that next step, right? But it didn't happen for me. And because it didn't happen for me, it really discouraged me. But as I look back and I think about my own self and the lessons that I've learned from my own past, what I realize and I recognize is that I didn't do everything I could to show up. I didn't I wasn't that person that wasn't in those circles that were being cynical or frustrated about every time a new change came about. Um, um, Ready to go at the drop of a dime, like frustrated all the time, mad that I had to work weekends, all of these different things, right? I was very distracted. I was distracted by things around me. And then two, I wasn't doing what I need to do to put myself in a position that when those opportunities came about, that I was ready to move forward, right? Because at the end of the day, one of the lessons that I've learned from my past, people don't care how good you are at what you do. I mean, that only can get you so far. Really, what people admire is people that they like. Like, okay, if I'm gonna promote you to be a supervisor and I gotta work alongside you every day, are you a light or are you darkness? Are you somebody that I want to be around, or are you somebody that, oh my gosh, here this person come through the door again, right? And so when you start to think about those things, when you start to think about how you show up, how you show up for yourself, you have to be ultra aware of the distractions because there are always going to be distractions around you, right? There's always going to be distractions around you. What are some other distractions? There are distractions of fear, right? Of self-doubt. I'm not good enough. Like, I don't know if I can do it. What if they don't tune in? What if nobody liked my video? Listen, if God has put something inside of you and he has called you to move, stop allowing distractions to freeze you from moving forward. Because I promise you, if just one person gets something out of this video, if just one person decide to shift their focus and change their life as a result of what they heard on today, I did my job. I did what I was supposed to do. We get in trouble when we allow distractions of quick success, distractions of self-doubt. Well, maybe my likes aren't high, so maybe I'm not cut out for this. A lot of time the greatest battle is in your mind, and we're going to talk about this. But a lot of times some of the greatest distractions are in our mind. Let me give you another biblical example. So in Matthew chapter 14, 29 through 30, we've probably heard at some point or another about the story of Peter walking on water, right? Let's go there. In Matthew 14, 29 through 30, it says, he said, come and climb out of the boat. This is Jesus bidding Peter to come out of the boat. He says, come and climb out of the boat. Peter started walking on the water and came towards Jesus. Now, let me pause for a moment. First of all, it took a great deal of faith and it took a great deal of removing all of the obstacles in Peter's mind, first of all, to get out of the boat. That's the first thing. It took faith for him to take a foot and step out of the boat. It was a lot of distractions that could have kept Peter in the boat, right? But Peter, instead of allowing the distractions in this very moment to impede him, he got out of the boat. And the text says he began to walk towards Jesus. But then the second part of the passage says, but when he saw the strength of the wind, he was afraid and he began to sink. And he cried out, Lord, save me. Right? So the first part of this illustration or this passage, we see Peter's laser-like focus. If Jesus is asking me to get out of the boat, I'm going to step out, I'm going to remove every distraction, and I'm going to move towards him. And Peter began to walk. He began to do something that was impossible for man, right? But the moment he began to allow the distractions, what distractions am I talking about? The distractions of the wind, the strength of the wind, it made him afraid. Instantly, fear is a distraction. Fear is a distraction that keeps so many of us bound. It keeps so many of us bound from doing amazing things in life, simple things in life. But I am here to encourage you today that fear is a liar. Fear is a liar that impedes you from taking the first step. Fear is a liar that impedes you from simply just focusing. Focusing on what? Focusing on what's in front of you. In this particular passage, it was Jesus Christ. In your particular situation, it may be to go start that bakery. It may be for you to go start that YouTube channel. It may be for you to go start that food truck. It may be for you to go back to school. But somebody in your circle, somebody around you has said, you're too old to go back to school. You're too old to do this. You're too old to do that. You can't do that. You're not good enough. Distractions. And those distractions are only in place for you to not move forward. Myron Golden says it like this. Distraction always follows intention. I love that quote by him. Distraction always follows intention. And I love that quote so much because the reality is that the enemy wants us to never get started. If I can stop them on the onset, me personally in my life, I probably should have started this YouTube channel 2 or 3 years ago. But the reality is I allowed a lot of distractions to impede me. Fear, self-doubt, some of those very things stopped me smack dead in my tracks, right? Until I realized that, wow, think about this one concept. What is the one thing that's holding you back from being everything God has called you to be? Think about that. What is the one thing that's holding you back from being everything God has called you to be? And then when you stop and think about that, think to yourself, if I can remove this barrier or this distraction, what would I had already done in my life today? Would you have authored that book? Would you have started that ministry? Would you have started that business that you've been talking about for so many years? And so what I want you to do as you think about that, I want you to think about that distraction. And I want you to say to yourself, you know what? Enough is enough. I got to move forward and trust that God will be with me. I can't be worried about my doubts. I can't be worried about my fears, because the reality is that where I fall short, if God has called me to this, He will be a bridge. I've experienced that in my own personal life. Where I fall short, where I feel like I lack this or I lack that, I have found time and time and time again that He'll be a bridge. So, we have to remove the distractions. Remove the distractions, remove those things that wants to keep us bound, wants to keep us right where we're at, cynical, frustrated, annoyed, so that we can move forward. In order for us to do that, as I go to my next point, the power of a focused mind. I can talk to you till I'm blue in the face. I can talk to you. I can tell you everything. You can have chills right now saying, Lord, I feel like this message was for me. But if your mindset doesn't change, if in here, it starts here. If your mindset does not change, nothing else will. You'll get excited in the moment. You'll get excited in the moment. You may do some things for a little bit, but then you'll revert right back to your old bad habits. So your mindset has to change. Most people, I put this illustration out a couple days ago, but most people do this. Go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then they fizzle all the way up. Your mindset has to be, you know what? Steady, 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 steady. That's the power of discipline. That's the power of a focused mindset. Because the reality is where there is no discipline, where there's no consistency in writing out your goals, writing them down. Oh, I'm gonna do this next week. Okay, me and my wife have started this new thing where we calendar everything. I don't care what it is. If it's taking the kids, here. If it's editing the video. If it's a vacation 6, 7, 8 months from now. If it's ministry stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. We have begun to calendar everything. And so we'll have conversations. My wife will be like, oh man, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And I'll be like, okay, is it on the calendar? And I do that because the calendar now becomes my accountability. Everything that I put on my iPad is going to function and flow straight to that phone. So when I get up in the morning, boom, this is what you got to do. A, B, C, and D. And you knock it out. And don't be so critical over yourself. It literally may be a situation where you forget. Just move it to the next day. But it has to be this flow where it's a gradual, consistent pace. Because what happens is we get excited, and then before you know it, boom, we fizzle out and we crash. And so we have to keep a focused mindset. Proverbs 4:25-27 talks about, in this passage, let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly in front of you or before you, right? This is important because where there's no focus, where you don't have an end goal, where you don't have a goal in mind of where you're trying to go and what you're trying to do, you don't have any action steps. In the future, I'm going to do a video. I think it's going to be very beneficial on SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, timely, and efficient. And timely. I'm going to do a video in the future on SMART goals and the importance of having SMART goals so that the things that you want to do in life, you can get to where you want to go. All right. I'll leave you with one final thought. I want you to set your focus today. Listen, you didn't watch this video by coincidence. You didn't watch this video. You watched this video as a reminder. You know what? I need to get focus. Stop allowing distractions. Stop letting things around you. You're not too old. You're not too young to upskill and elevate. You're not too old to shift and change your focus, okay? So here's my ask to you. What is one thing you need to eliminate to sharpen your focus? I'm going to say that again. What is one thing you need to eliminate to sharpen your focus? If you'll do me a favor, drop that comment. Drop it. If it's TV, right? If it's too much video games. If it's, too much shopping. Whatever that looks like, Because at the end of the day, it's about you and you. So, what do you need to eliminate to sharpen your focus? The second thing, write down your top priorities and commit to staying focused. Whatever that is, write down your top priorities and commit to staying focused. If you don't do it for nobody else, make a commitment to yourself. You've been wanting to go back to school. You've been wanting to take a new piano class or guitar lessons. You've been wanting to step out and get that food truck. Write it out. Give yourself a deadline and focus on today. And if you will do that, you will find that just chipping away a little bit by little bit, little bit by little bit, you'll find yourself. You'll look back over your life. You'll look back and you'll be like, wow, in such a short amount of time, look how far I was able to come because of my laser-like focus. So I encourage you today. Set your focus today. Don't wait till tomorrow. If you want to start that new exercise journey, write out your plan tonight. If you want to change your nutritional habits and goals, I know in my personal life, that's what I'm doing. And probably at some point, I'm going to chronicle my story. But I'm on a journey of just massive, massive change in my life. And I'm not allowing distractions. I'm not allowing fear. I'm not allowing anything to hold me back, and neither should you. Well, this is my time. Thank you again for stopping by to the Vine and Branch YouTube channel. I hope that you were blessed. I hope that you got something from it, that you can say that, I can write this down. I'm going to make this change, and things are going to change for me. Thank you again for stopping by. Hopefully you were blessed. Please like, subscribe, and share as often as you can. You be blessed, and thank you again. Bye-bye.